The T gene holds the blueprints for, we'll call it the kitty T gene because we have A, C, T, and G, and those are not the same. This is not the same T
gene. Yeah.
No. So the kitty T gene.
The kitty T.
The kitty T.
Why
are we this way?
We walked into this podcast. We sat down. We're like, this is gonna be a simple one. It's just about cheetahs. Like, we're gonna knock this out. No funny business. I'm like, I'm not gonna talk. Like, it's no big deal.
Here we are. Welcome back to the Random Theory podcast.
Yay.
Josh is under the weather today.
I'm sick.
He just got his voice back, so we're gonna not
barely.
have him. Yeah, barely. Yeah. So we're not gonna have him do a whole lot of talking today, but
I'm just here for the
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. That's all I'm doing today.
And reading jokes, of course.
Well, yeah, I gotta read at least one knock joke, so buckle up for that nasally mess.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
But it's been good. We've had good weeks. We're not going to tell you about our lives this week. We're just going to jump right into it.
Yeah, we're getting right into it.
Because some of you guys complain about us talking about ourselves, but it's fine.
I will say, sorry, I said I wasn't going to talk that much. Apologies. But there was a lot of comments on the episode where we said that.
Oh, really?
That said they appreciated the
really?
life updates. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad. Because I feel like they don't get them a lot on YouTube. They don't really see us and our personalities on a day-to-day and what we experience.
Yeah.
Ray's coming back. Side note.
Life update. Ray's coming back.
Ray's coming back for a video that we're filming.
If you don't know who Ray is, that's Grace's dog.
Yes, and if you would like to meet Ray and get to know Ray, watch the Ray robot video.
Yeah.
I programmed a robot. She learned how to push a button.
To control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, let's jump into these ratings and reviews. So I'm going to read one about a old podcast. They said Ghosts and Spirits, and this was by Dan Man. Go Dan Man.
Dan Man.
Dan Man 92790. This was my favorite episode so far. Love science, but also believe in the paranormal / supernatural, like ghosts and spirits. I've had experiences that I cannot explain scientifically. We all have. I feel that.
Yeah.
I love how this episode didn't try to debunk the validity of ghost sightings, just gives a scientific spin on what might be happening. That's what we try to do here.
Nice.
A scientific spin. I always heard that ghosts don't interact with the living and they're just a visual imprint of a deceased person or animal. Ooh, I've never heard that. Have you?
I haven't.
That's interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Look, teaching me something new today, Dan Man.
Go Dan Man.
Think of a ghost as being like a certain scene from a movie being played over and over again. Spirits, on the other hand, actually do interact with the living. Oh, thank you for the deciphering here. That is very helpful.
Yeah.
You don't always see spirits, but you'll just know if one is around, i.e. a sudden drop in temperature or a weird vibe that you're being watched. I would love for you guys to do more episodes on the paranormal and supernatural phenomena.
Wow.
That was super insightful.
What a review.
Dan Man.
Dan Man.
If you really want to listen to that podcast, I highly recommend it. It was one of my favorites.
It's a good one.
It was just really fun because
I liked it.
We did the science thing, but we also just talked about
ghosts.
Yeah.
Spookies.
The spooky spirits.
Yeah.
So thanks, Dan Man. And
Thanks,
thank you for
Dan,
educating us. I learned something new today about ghosts and spirits and the difference between them. So
totally.
Thank you.
Dan Man, you should start your own ghost podcast.
Yes.
Sounds like you have some knowledge.
Yeah. So a lot of you have been dropping on Apple Podcasts different podcast ideas and topics. Keep those coming because we are curating a episode that is going to be all about those different topics. So keep them coming if you want to be featured in a literal specific podcast. Like you are going to have a whole chunk and segment dedicated to you.
All right. I have a short review, so I didn't have to talk that much. But it is from E. Hizzle. It says, I love your podcast. My name is Leland. I am 12 years old, and here's a knock joke. Knock knock. Who's there? Ash. Ash who? Bless you. Dude, I needed that right now.
You did.
I didn't read that ahead of time. That was so fitting for me.
That was so good.
I have sneezed so much in the last 48 hours.
The worst part is you're sick and it's allergy season.
It's the worst.
You are getting double whammy.
I am dying.
You need to go get a lymphatic massage. Maybe I can do a podcast on that. I just got one.
Lymphatic
it was wild.
massage.
Yeah, lymphatic massage.
That sounds interesting.
It was very interesting.
Did
Maybe
it
it'll
help?
be a Yes.
Oh.
It was wild.
Well, thank you, Leland.
Thanks,
for that.
Leland.
That was a great knock knock joke. Very fitting. I needed a good bless you.
Do you feel blessed?
I do, actually, yeah.
Good. Leland blessed you.
If you want your review read, jump over to Apple Podcasts and leave it there, and we'll get to it.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Good ratings and reviews
Good
today.
ratings and reviews.
Good energy, good vibes.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to stop talking so much.
Okay, today we're chatting about why cheetahs have spots.
Nice.
Have you, I mean, I look at them and I'm like, why do you have spots? You're in the savannah. Like, you're in, I feel like them having spots doesn't allow them to blend in.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No, not really. And actually, this is pretty wild. So buckle up because there's different types of cheetahs that are starting to evolve to have stripes.
Striped cheetah.
Striped cheetahs instead of cheetah spots.
No way.
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh.
Wild.
What are people going to make pants out of?
Outdated cheetahs.
Outdated cheetah. Okay.
If you look at a tabby pattern on a house cat, it's not difficult to see that their coats are similar in color and pattern to those of cheetahs and tigers and lions and bears. I'm just kidding on the lions and bears,
Oh
but
my.
like, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
So according to this professor guy, homie from Stanford University, we trust them because they go to Stanford.
Yeah, it's a big name.
This suggests the pattern creating process is shared by all cat species, but also can be tweaked to make different pattern types.
Oh.
So all cats, wild or domestic, are born with their particular pattern, which may be due to an establishing process that is only active during the early development.
Huh.
So you basically have a wild cheetah in your home if you have a cat.
That makes sense. That tracks.
That makes perfect sense,
Yeah,
right?
some people's cats are the worst.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
I had a cat. I was not very kind to my cat growing up. Its name was Shigua. It means watermelon
Shigua.
head in Chinese.
Watermelon head.
Yeah, it was also a cartoon on PBS. It was like my favorite at the time.
We've talked about this. I
Yes,
think.
we have. And
Yeah.
every time no one remembers this cartoon, maybe I just unlocked something in someone's brain. But they were Siamese cats and they wrote with their tails in Chinese.
Is it like a white and black cat?
Mm-hmm.
I think my wife had a cat named Shigua. What? This is unlocking. I think her and I talked about this. I don't think you and I talked about this at all.
You and I have talked about this.
Oh my gosh. What's up with everyone around me having Shigua?
So your wife and I watched the same show growing
You guys
up.
watched the same entertainment growing up and named a cat the same name.
Okay, so I had Shigua.
Shigua.
Shigua was a different cat on the show.
Okay.
She was a little white cat.
Okay.
Shigua means watermelon in Chinese.
Sure.
I don't know where I got watermelon head, but Shigua means watermelon in Chinese. Anyway, back to
cheetahs.
yeah, the cheetahs.
Yeah.
So in this early development, when this particular pattern is forming, when this process is shut off, the pattern is fixed. So as the surface area of the cat increases, the markings expand, but no additional spots or stripes are added. However, very little is known about how these markings are formed and controlled.
Interesting.
Isn't that so crazy? I just think it's wild that they have these markings on them and it just like stops. And then from there, like that's just what they look like.
They're just locked in.
Yeah, they're locked in. Like very
Yeah.
different from humans where we grow and change and
Yeah.
like our bodies are constantly changing.
Well, in dogs too, I feel like. Dogs'
yeah.
coats can, like if they have spots, they can
Mhm.
change.
Yeah, and they get bigger and smaller.
Yeah.
So in the 1950s, British computer scientist Alan Turing,
Oh, shout out to Turing.
thank you, Alan Turing. How do you say that in a British accent?
Turing.
There it is. Suggested that periodic patterns in nature result from self-organizing processes called reaction diffusion, which is determined by the interaction of two diffusible substrates. So our homie from Stanford and his colleagues searched the genome of feral cats in Northern California and determined the same genes that produce the cheetah spots also control the pattern on small house cats.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they're the same genes.
Yeah. My question is like, why stripes? Why spots? Why,
Right, yeah.
why that thing?
Yeah.
And I guess it all, when I think about it, it makes me go back to early biology, like early high school biology, middle school biology classes, where, I forget what it's called, but basically the example they always use is saying in an ecosystem, in an environment, say there's like a bunch of fox, but there's not a lot of rabbits in the area. So the fox will die off, but then the rabbits will like make more, like there'll be way more rabbits because not as many of them are being hunted. But then
Right.
like the fox population will then increase because it can eat more. And then like, so it's like always fluctuating.
They just go back and forth.
Yeah. So for me, it's one of those things that I think about, like with cheetahs, maybe at one point they did have stripes, maybe they didn't, maybe they had spots and like those got killed off. And so this was just what was left for them to reproduce with.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's how we learned all about in like high school biology or some crap about mice that got stuck on like a plateau and then their colors changed because they were there, but they were the same mice as something on the other side. Yeah. So.
But they like had to adapt so they weren't eaten by
whatever was there.
Yeah. O'Brien and his colleagues contributed to the original sequencing of the domestic cat genome, which was completed in 2007. Let me know how we completed that so fast, and like the human genome we just completed in like 2020.
Yeah. I guess cats aren't that complicated.
Sure. Besides being interesting from a basic science standpoint, O'Brien said the cat genetics may help researchers understand human diseases and genetic development.
The kitty pedigree.
Which who dedicated their lives to the kitty pedigree?
The kitty pedigree.
I guess O'Brien and his colleagues in Stanford, homie.
Sure.
This allowed researchers to narrow down the genetic culprit to one region of the chromosome containing 3 large genes. They then sequenced the genome of the 2 batches of tabbies, which are cats, one with blotched coats and the other with a striped one, and narrowed the culprit further to a gene called the TACPEP.
The TACPEP.
The TACPEP.
TACPEP.
Sorry, that was a long-winded answer to get to here. But I think it's kind of crazy that they had the 2 different types of cats, one with stripes, one with spots, and they were able to find
the gene
that it was.
Yeah.
I think what's really wild here there are 3 separate mutations of this TACPEP gene. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's TAQPEP.
TACPEP.
We're going to call it the T gene.
The T gene.
Yeah, because the TACPEP is
We're probably not pronouncing it.
Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry if you know what this gene is. But in the domestic cats, in another mutation in the same gene, in the King Cheetah, can cause a tabby pattern to go from striped to splotchy, and in cheetahs from spotty to striped, the researchers found. This means the gene has mutated multiple times across kitty evolutionary history.
Okay.
I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, cheetahs could be splotchy and then striped and then
over the course of hundreds of years.
Yeah. Think about seeing a striped cheetah, which we're going to get into a little later.
Okay. The
cheetah called the King Cheetah, which I mentioned just a second ago.
Right.
The T gene holds the blueprints for, we'll call it the kitty T gene, because we have A, C, T, and G, and those are not the same. This is not the same T
gene. Yeah.
No. So the kitty T gene.
The kitty T.
The kitty T.
We
Why are we this way?
We walked into this podcast. We sat down. We're like, this is gonna be a simple one. It's just about cheetahs. Like, we're gonna knock this out. No funny business. I'm like, I'm not gonna talk. Like, it's no big deal.
Here we are. The T gene holds the blueprints for the molecule usually found on cell membranes and used for passing messages from outside the cell to inside the cell. A mutation of the gene causes color pattern changes by interfering with the deposition of pigment during development.
Okay.
So the T gene has this wonderful blueprint.
Yeah.
It's like, the kitty will look this way.
Nice.
And it's, thank you, found on the cell membrane. And it basically is the person that is like, you shall enter this castle or you may not enter this castle.
You shall not pass.
You shall not pass. Yeah. So it lets things come in and out and passes all the messages through.
For the pigment.
Yes, for the pigment. Because a mutation of this gene causes color pattern to change by interfering with the deposition of pigment during development. So they suspect this gene also has other functions, obviously. That can't just be its only job. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
It's not how the body works. You
That's
can't just
not
have
how it works.
one job. Come on, man. So membrane communication molecules are often associated with the immune system. So now these genes are now in charge of color and immunity of these cats.
Wow.
The T gene.
Big jobs.
The fact that this coat color mutation occurred many times suggests that it may be doing something more useful for the cats than simply changing their spots and stripes. One possibility is that the genetic change influences immune function, and that the coat color variations seen in cats are a side effect of that change.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So there is this cheetah called the King Cheetah.
Oh.
And it is a mutant form of the cheetah.
Oh.
It was literally considered its own like species for a little bit.
A mutant cheetah.
Yeah, it's a mutant cheetah.
It's like an X-Men cheetah.
So the King Cheetah is this mutant cheetah, and this may be from an abundance where the spots collided to create swirl patterns on the cheetah. Oh. I am not making this up. It is really rad if you look it up.
Swirl patterns.
Yes. Alternatively, it may be that cheetahs can also be striped as well as spotted, which is wild. The blotted tabby was one of the first pattern mutations in the domestic cat, so it would not be unusual to see this pattern mutation appearing in other cat species. It was originally believed to be a new species of cheetah or a cheetah/leopard hybrid, but is now believed to be a relatively recent mutation. I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
Relatively new mutation.
It's a new
that
thing.
that they're discovering.
Weird.
The identity of the King Cheetah was not resolved until researchers noticed that some cheetah litters contained both striped individuals and spotted individuals. Shout out to that T gene, the KT gene.
The KT.
The darker pattern may give better camouflage. Here it is. Here is why cheetahs have spots. The darker patterns may give better camouflage in less open territory, and it has been suggested that evolution is allowing cheetahs to exploit new habitats.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're not just living in the savannah anymore. And the more I thought about it, to me, the stripe pattern makes more sense than the spotted pattern, because if you're lying under a tree, it's not necessarily spotted, especially out there, because the trees out there, the leaves are they're longer.
Yeah, you're going to have more streaky shadows.
Yeah. So that's why I think the stripes make more sense than cheetah spots.
Yeah, at least like the stripes or like the splotchiness makes more sense than just like a perfect dot.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
The King Cheetah, a cheetah with black stripes along its back and swirls and splotches instead of spots, was known to natives, but its existence has been poo-pooed by white hunters and settlers.
Oh, well.
Here we go. We're going back in time here a little bit.
Yeah.
It was first noted by Westerners in Zimbabwe in 1926. In 1927, the naturalist Pocock declared it as a separate species. Pocock is a naturalist. He's a homie.
That's a person.
Yeah. But reversed this decision in 1939 due to lack of evidence. In 1928, a skin purchased by Lord Rothschild.
Isn't that like a massively wealthy family?
I mean, he purchased the skin, so I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
Was found to be intermediate in pattern between the King Cheetah and the spotted cheetah. And Abel Chapman voiced the opinion that it was a color form of the spotted cheetah. So there have been 22 skins that have been collected between 1926 and 1974. Since 1927, King Cheetahs were reported 5 further times, and those strangely marked skins have come from Africa. A live King Cheetah was not photographed until 1974 in South Africa's Kruger National Park.
So people were just forming opinions based off the skin, but they hadn't actually seen one.
Mm-hmm. So they have like these two stripes down their back. The King Cheetah has like 2 stripes on their back.
Yeah.
And then instead of it being like dots everywhere, the dots all kind of like connect almost.
They're all like splotchy dots.
Yeah. It's like if you laid under a tree and like put your arm out or something and like you looked at your arm, it looks like that. Because they're not perfect dots.
Yeah.
It looks more like camouflage, as if you're laying under a tree.
Yeah.
With the leaves, shadows projecting onto you.
Which begs to question, if it is better camouflage, then why aren't there more of them? Because that should be,
I agree,
evolutionarily, like that should be.
I think we will see more of them.
Yeah.
Come into
existence.
Yes.
Yeah.
As the other ones die out and these like breed more kind of thing.
And people aren't killing them.
Yeah, literally for science.
Yeah. Well.
So what about zebras? This leads me.
What about zebras?
Are they black with white stripes? Are they white with black stripes?
Well, that's what you left off the last podcast with.
And my question is why do they even have stripes? So there's actually 3 different theories. With zebras, the question is always like, why do they even have stripes in the first place? Scientists are still debating the exact origin and function of zebra stripes. Their recent efforts have focused more closely on 3 different possibilities: protection from biting flies, thermoregulation, and the protection from predators. So first, let's talk about fly biting. There was some research done earlier this year that shed new light for this team that has been studying zebras, I guess, for a very long time.
The zebra people.
The zebra people, yes, that's what we shall call them.
Yeah.
They observed horseflies around zebras and horses. Some horses had black and white striped coats placed on them. I love that.
Oh, yeah. I had heard that they were trying to figure out why cows had spots. And, and yeah, I'd heard that they had painted horses with the same thing to try and figure that out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, these guys thankfully got coats and not paint on them, which is nice.
Maybe it was an old study. They did things differently.
They did it way different back then.
Yeah.
So the horseflies hovered around zebras and horses in similar amounts, but there were far fewer flies that landed on the zebras or horses with striped coats on. The flies would try to land on the stripes, but then failed to decelerate as they normally would approaching a non-striped surface, and they would bounce off. It looked as if they cannot recognize the black and white surface as a good landing spot.
Hilarious.
Have you seen the videos?
I haven't.
It's hilarious. Yes, they have
No
slow-mo of them bouncing off of the horse.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Huh.
So the team has been working with a lot of unpublished data, which is kind of rude if you ask me, because I want to see the stats.
Yeah.
But the video of the flies approaching different patterns and learn how the stripes mess up the flies landing. So at Princeton University, another university that we trust.
Princeton, yeah.
Evolutionary biologist Daniel Rubenstein. Sounds great.
Yeah.
And his colleagues are tackling the question using fly vision in virtual reality.
Fly vision?
They're trying to be virtual reality flies.
Wow.
Isn't that wild, trying to land? I don't know how that really works, but sure.
I don't either.
I feel like I could be a part of that team.
You got
Princeton.
fly vision?
Yeah, I can if you put some VR goggles on me.
You have that about you, I think.
Yeah.
You got that fly vibe.
I don't think that's a good thing.
I don't think it is either.
One of the other things that they say is thermal regulation. Evaporating sweat removes lots of heat, but evaporation must happen fast or else the sweat gets trapped and insulates the animal like a giant horse sauna.
Oh, why is that the picture they painted?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Equids have a protein called... That's how you know you're in with the cool crowd, is the equids.
That's some slang.
Yeah, right?
The equids.
The equids have a protein called lathyrin that helps spread sweat to hair tips. It increases the exposure to air and evaporation. So in June, the Cobbs reported in this Journal of Natural History that during the warmer hours of the day, black stripes on live zebras were consistently 12 to 15 degrees Celsius higher than the white stripes. They proposed that the steady temperature difference between black stripes would drive a mild turbulent air. They further discovered the hair on the black stripes erect during the early morning and noon, and these erect hairs could trap the heat in the cool morning and facilitate sweat evaporation at noon.
Oh my gosh.
That was so intricate for hair.
They got a whole AC system.
Built in. Crazy. Yeah.
Huh.
So that's one of the things.
That's a theory.
Yeah, that's one of the theories. And then the last one is for protection. So zebras spend most of their time in the open grasslands where their stripes are conspicuous, and little time in the woods where their stripes might camouflage them better. They also tend to run from threat rather than hide. And lions appear to have no trouble eating a lot of zebras.
Yeah.
So the question about why zebras have stripes has proven to be very difficult, and that actually comes with very high risk. So Stephen Cobb, the person that's been running these...
The researcher.
These theories, has been bitten in the arm and admitted to being hospitalized twice because of this research.
Well, you're getting in between a lion and its food.
Yeah.
You gotta watch out. Yeah.
despite the extra vigor of recent works, the answer remains inconclusive. So maybe stripes evolved to solve multiple problems, and they have been proven to protect zebras from biting flies, and it might yet be shown to be an important tool in a zebra's solution to overheating. Yeah. So it's more for the zebra than it is for their actual protection.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, all of those first two make way more sense than any sort of camouflage.
Yeah, there's no camouflage happening here for the zebras.
They're not like on a traffic crosswalk or something.
No.
Like,
it makes no sense to me. I looked up a baby zebra and they're like brown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's really interesting.
That's
and
weird.
Then they have these like white and black stripes. They're really funky looking. Look up a baby zebra if you get the chance. But yeah, that's all I have about cheetahs and zebras.
Cheetahs and zebras.
And their stripe patterns.
They have weird stripes.
Yeah, I do think for the cheetah, it is more of a like camouflage thing.
Yeah.
And then for the zebras, I don't think it is. I think it's more of a body regulation thing like they were talking about.
Well, and also, like I said, I had heard about them doing that same study for cows.
Yeah.
And that's totally like a fly thing.
Oh, yeah.
And probably temperature too. But I think they were specifically talking about keeping flies off of them.
For sure. It's wild. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think.
Yeah.
Is it for...
Are you team flies, team heat, or...
Team protection?
Team protection.
And if there's any other animals you want us to look into that have funky things about them, let us know also.
Yeah, we're secretly an animal podcast.
Yeah, we love the animals. They're
big
super
animal
cool.
people.
Big animal people.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we got. Leave a rating and review for the pod.
Yeah, if you liked it, drop a rating and review.
We'd super appreciate it.
Definitely.
It'd be awesome.
And hopefully I'm not sick in the next one.
I don't think you will be.
We'll see.
We're going to flood you with a bunch of vitamins and good stuff.
Cool.
It's going to be great.
All right. Well, what is the next? Do we have a teaser for the next?
The next one is very similar to the ghosts.
To the ghosts.
To the ghosts and the supernatural.
Oh.
UFOs, baby.
Oh, let's go.
We're talking about UFOs.
That's going to be a good one.
I'm super stoked.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff
You're going to want to be here next week for that podcast.
Nice.
All right. Bye, friends.
Bye.
Have a great week.